Okay, so when we think of connective tissues, we have to think of it like a jello mold. Did you know that there's a jello museum in Leroy, New York? Moving on. When you make a jello mold like this one, with the fruits suspended in the jello, we can make a crude but useful analogy to connective tissues. All of our connective tissues have cells. And we're familiar with cells and their nuclei from looking at things like simple cuboidal cells with the nucleus right in the center. The cells in connective tissue they're various, and we can have things like mast cells, fibroblasts, osteocytes, all cells that we will slowly get to know. But this is like a jello mold here with different kinds of fruits in it. The fruits are like these specialized cells suspended in the gelatin. But what's in the gelatin? If you've ever made a jello packet, you know that it's just water and jello. The jello mix is really just soluble proteins, like horse hoof. Just kidding. Actually, I'm not. But these proteins, they suck up the water and they harden into a gelatin. This is the same thing as the goo in which your specialized cells are suspended in connective tissues. Aside from the specialized cells in a connective tissue, which that is one of the three main components in any connective tissue, aside from the cells, there are proteins like the proteins in gelatin. In a connective tissue, we have only three types of proteins: collagen, reticular, and elastic. Whereas epithelial tissue was classified by the shape of the cells, connective tissue is classified by the amount of each of these fibers it contains. We're going to call these proteins fibers. There's one more component of a connective tissue, and that's the goo, or the water, in which the jello proteins are dissolved. In our jello mold analogy, the water would be what is called the ground substance of a connective tissue. It's like the background goo. Sometimes, though, this doesn't have to be gooey or watery. Sometimes it can be a hardened substance like bone. When we consider tissues from here on out, we're going to use this term matrix. This term combines the protein fibers and the ground substance and lets us think of a connective tissue as specialized cells and then the background substance in which the cells are suspended. So you're going to see this term, matrix, and I want you to be aware that it refers to both the ground substance and the fibers together. That jello mold kind of looks gross. These are our three dense connective tissues. Dense because the protein fibers are closely or densely packed together. Before we look at each one of these in detail, even though this is an online class, I strongly encourage you to make index cards if that's your thing, like you just might do to study for an in-person class. It's the process of writing them, consolidating the information, drawing the tissue with your colored pencils that will solidify the tissue in your mind. Even if you never use the cards, that process of making the info flow from your brain and out your hand is very important. It's like practicing piano. You can know the music, but you have to let the music flow from the brain to the hands. And to get better at it, you have to practice, just like the piano.